It's just such an amazing feeling. It's like a feeling of freedom, and now you're pushing the envelope on your abilities. And I mean, this is something that you really, without the dedication of Peter and Brian, Accessible Racing crew, I mean, that would just never happen. So really appreciate their commitment to this whole project, and thanking people at the International Speedway for helping us out, letting us get out here and jam some gears and hopefully not hit the wall.
My name is Peter Ruprecht. I own and operate DriveMaster Company Inc. in Fairfield, New Jersey. Our company builds vans and cars and equipment for persons with disabilities. We are here today to show our handicap modified race car. It's an experience car. The challenge was to get a person out of a wheelchair and into the car. So the first thing we had to do was spin it down to expose the frame. Once we had the frame exposed, we then made a door out of it. We made the door open 90 degrees so that we could get the wheelchair next to the car and gave us access to our turnout swivel seat. So now we have an easy transfer from the wheelchair to the seat. Once we get them in, belt it up, put a wheel on for them to steer the car, some type of hand control to operate the gas and the brake. We then can close the car up and get it ready for the track. When the nut put the outside skin on, lock everything down, and away they go on the racetrack. And you would never know that the car had been modified for them to drive.
I just would like to ask everybody, anything that you can do to help out the Accessible Racing team so that we can get the program out to more veterans that are coming back from the war, to give them this motivation, this incentive. We'd love to get any kind of sponsors, get them on the car. We really appreciate it, because this program, like I said, lives and dies by sponsorship, and we really appreciate your help so we can bring this to a lot more people like we're doing right now. So please check, I believe it's accessibleracing.com, or just Google Accessible Racing, and you'll come to their website. You can check out more about the program, and we'd love to have you on board as sponsors. So, and there's no little is too much. $5 is $5. Every little bit helps. So we'd appreciate everybody's helping this part of the program. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm from a racing family. My father, Hard Luck Hannaford, got elected into the New England Racers Hall of Fame. He was one of the first guys from New Hampshire to actually race at Daytona. And I grew up in a racing family, and back in the '80s, it wasn't real trendy to be a motorsports fan, and I was into the athletics, and I got injured in a car accident, long story short, and I was partially paralyzed. I had a traumatic brain injury, and you can recover from a traumatic brain injury to some degree, and that's what happened to me. But I realized how fortunate I was from a guy who had become paralyzed in a car accident, Cam Shaw Duran, and I realized how happy he was with life. And for myself at the time, there wasn't any therapy or anything to help people get out of themselves and realize that there's more to life. I always realized that people always wanted to be someplace else, do something different, and there was no reason why we couldn't develop this race car to give people a second chance in life and actually do something different. It's developed to the point now where we've got a virtual driving experience, and the virtual driving experience right now develops virtual world skills that seamlessly transition to something like this. And the key point to this is we realize that not everybody's a motorsports fan and wants to drive a race car that's paralyzed, but this gives them the mobility and the freedom back to be able to go down to the corner store, drive down to the corner store for a loaf of bread, or pick the kids up after soccer practice. And recently, we just added frosting on the cake, talking with a veteran-friendly school in the Midwest who's heavily involved in NASCAR, and what they're going to do is help us provide job training and transition work skills so that people can go back to work. So when they pick the kids up from soccer practice, they're actually getting out of work and picking them up and giving them a purpose and a sense of normalcy back into their life.
Mimics the hand controls that are in the accessible racing vehicle. Push it towards the ground for brake and pull it back for acceleration. Doing this, you get such a great feel, and that kind of moves you along and motivates you onto the next step towards being independent, because being mobile independently, for me, ever since my accident, has been so important. Again, we hope sponsors, people will look up the VXP system along with iRacing.com and consider if you have a rehab or work in a rehab, maybe consider buying one of these systems for your patients, get them a real feel for driving, get them motivated to move on to the next step for independence.
Yeah, my name is Mike Olson. Website's faddenracing.net. And we're a family operation. My son's involved, cousins, nephews, a lot of people involved, so we have a good time with it. I started my racing career out when I was 17 at Thunder Road in Barrie, Vermont, and moved on into the NASCAR Busch North Series when I started. Ended up as now the K&N East Series, two-time champion there, and pretty much followed my grandfather's footsteps. And I guess I'm going to be in the passenger side. I'm going to take a ride and help out if I need to, and see what happens.
Brian was 17 years old. He was involved in a serious automobile accident. Left him with a lot of head trauma. All his vital organs were shoved up underneath his heart. The first of my knowing that was a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning. And the doctor said, "Do you have a son?" And we went through the whole scenario. And then he said, "He doesn't need you now. He needs the nurses." Well, that kind of shattered Mama's dreams, I'll tell you, because this is my only son. So Harold, my husband, and I jumped in the car, traveled to the hospital, and stayed with him for 2 weeks while he was in and out of a coma. After that, Brian met Peter, and Peter and Brian formed a partnership, and they built this race car. They put many, many hours into transporting it here, there, and everywhere, and trying to make everything possible for the veterans. What do you have to say, Peter?
I already said my piece.
Oh, okay.